Hey, my name is John Horn. I'm here today to talk to you about major scales. I want to show you a little exercise that I use to warm up with sometimes and how I teach my students to master their major scales in one position in all keys. So I'm just going to play the exercise first and then I'll briefly talk about it afterwards. We'll set this at, I don't know, let's see, about 100. How's that? I'm warming up. I hope you can hear that. Metronome's at 100. And just playing eighth notes. So I'm starting with C major scale, right here in the middle finger, third fret. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, B, E, A, D, and G. Alright, that's the exercise. So we're going through all keys in one position around the circle of fourths. I like that exercise. Once you know it, all of those scale patterns are movable. So they can actually be, any one of them can be any key, as long as you know where you're at on your fingerboard. This could be that C, but play it up a step. It's C sharp or D flat. Play it somewhere else. It's another scale. It could be F. So everything is movable. Briefly, if you haven't learned these before, I want you to notice that all the fingerings either start with your first finger, your middle finger, or your pinky finger. We're never going to start a major scale with our third finger, because either you would have to reach back a whole step to get the whole step. Actually, you'd have to reach back 3 frets to get the whole step, or you'd have to reach up with your pinky finger. It's just not guitar friendly. You wouldn't naturally do that. So we won't bother with that. And here's how I would suggest practicing. I start all of my students with the C major scale, since it's the first one. Make sure they know that scale. Then I recommend learning all the other scales that also begin on the middle finger. So in this particular version of the exercise, that would be G flat, B, and then going back to E. And you'll also notice as I'm doing this that I like to go to the ninth. I just think that gives things a better flow. It doesn't sound so boxy and exercisey. Alright, after you've mastered the ones in starting with the middle finger, then practice all the ones that start with either the first finger or the pinky finger. Whatever you like. I'll do the pinky finger next. Now, as you can see with the middle finger, most of those scales are pretty much the same, except when you hit the second string. Anything that was part of the pattern, when you hit the second string, you'll have to move it up a fret. That's not a very good explanation, but I'll spend more time with that later on. So let's do the ones with the pinky finger. And again, I see all of these as basically being the same scale, but either changing the pattern or taking advantage of that changed interval between the third and second string to kind of make things easier. So for example, I could have played and stretched for that note, but why bother when you can go? So I see those all the same. On this version of the exercise, I believe it's A flat, D flat, D natural, and G are the 3 versions of the scale. Basically, I'm starting on my 6th string, my 5th string, and my 4th string so far for all of the exercises. Now, there's an extra one here. We start on the first finger, learn F, B flat, they go in order, E flat, and there's an excellent example. You can see where here's the B flat pattern. When I play it on E flat, when I hit the second string, because it's tuned a little bit lower in relation to, that's my dog, in relation to the third string, I have to move everything up a half step. So, alright, and And if you don't understand that right now, just learn the patterns and it will make sense to you later on. And I'll be happy to answer questions if you want to email me, or I can make another video, whatever you want. Let's see. The final one is A, and A actually looks a lot like the first pattern, but it's sort of a hybrid. I could have gone like this, but by moving everything into more or less one position instead of spreading out, right, that actually ends up looking a lot like the second part of that scale. Two other points, very briefly, because I can ramble, is that I do go outside of my 5-fret span for the E flat. Alright? And the reason for that is because, now I could have played the F back here, right? And there's no problem with that. I would actually encourage you to practice that note as well. But I find most students find it easier to take the pattern that they already know and just move it up a half step. And then also on the A, I'm all the way up here. Well, yeah, that gets outside of my 5-fret span, but if I want to play to the 9th, there's nowhere else to go, okay? So I've got to do that. So that's the exercise all the way through. I hope you will practice with it, try it out, learn all your major scales. Once you learn to do it, there's plenty of other things you can do. You can move the exercise to other positions. I would still try to start on C. Don't start on the same pattern. Start at wherever C is. So if you do it in your 5th position, find C there and realize that now this pattern is C. Now that one is F. This one is B flat. Okay, for example. What else can we do here? We could play arpeggios. One more. You could play other scales. You could play, instead of playing the major scale, alter a note or alter several notes and play a whole different scale. For example, if you flat your 7th, that's called the Mixolydian scale. I'm sure many of you know it already. And you can use that scale for improvisation instead of that one. So plenty of things you can do, lots of patterns, lots of ideas, and it's nice to know that you have everything you need right under your fingers. You can even take a song that has lots of key changes and make yourself play in all of those different keys without leaving that one position, just to get an understanding of where everything is, rather than saying, oh, I'm in F, so I must be at my 1st fret. I'm in A, I must be at my 5th fret. No, A's pretty much anywhere you want to find it. It's there, it's under your fingers. You might have to slide 1 fret one way or the other, but otherwise everything's there for you. So have fun with that. If you have any questions, again, please email me, leave a comment, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. Thanks. Bye.